someone told me, we will buy your business. We never understood the company बिकती हैं, and I did not know that for sure. But someone explained me, this guy came up with an offer, we'll buy your company, you're doing well, and we'll give you 2x of your last month's revenue. No valuation concept. यार ये नहीं पता था तो ये कैसे पता होगा? Saw a check number की गाड़ी घड़ी sorted, ले लो company.
We have something brand new for you today. We're going to do a first sector deep dive. We're all aware that D2C has taken India by storm. D2C is direct-to-consumer brands. But what about the enablers behind these brands? So today we go into Logistic-tech and D2C Enablers. Our guest today is Vishesh Khurana. Vishesh is the co-founder of Shiprocket, one of India's few profitable unicorns. We speak with him about this wave of D2C that's come in India in the last couple of years. We speak with him about the national logistics policy and how it impacts our startup ecosystem. And we speak with him about the impact of ONDC. एक क्विक साइड बार टू एनालिटिकल राज फ्रॉम पॉडकास्टर राज. हम देखते हैं कि काफी लोग हमारी वीडियोस देखते हैं बट सब्सक्राइब नहीं करते. सो इफ यू डू लाइक आवर वर्क, प्लीज लाइक, शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब. नाउ वी होप यू एंजॉय दिस ब्रांड न्यू एपिसोड ऑफ फर्स्ट यूनिकॉर्न चैट्स. Vishesh, welcome to First Unicorn Chats. How are you doing today?
Very good, yeah. Thank you for having me.
No, pleasure is all ours. This is one of the few conversations that I wanted to do, really do, to actually go deeper into logistics tech and D2C enablers.
Sure.
Because I think we've made a lot of, and there's a lot of knowledge about, hey, D2C companies coming up and Shark Tank putting them in the light, right? But the work that you guys have been doing behind the scenes to enable D2C players, especially in the last mile, has been phenomenal, right? So I wanted to kind of double click on that. But right before we do that, right, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? I know that you've dropped out of college and you've had one of those journeys into building a profitable unicorn. Would love to hear the journey.
Sure, yeah. So very briefly about how I got into this. I think as a family background, I come from a family business background, and we were conditioned and grown up from it was a given thing that you will not be doing a job, you will probably be doing my business or a business. So it was kind of that conditioning that happens to you over the years. So that was clear that there is no way I'm out of the environment of going and doing a job at least.
So corporate was out?
Corporate was completely out, I think very early on.
आपने कोई भी corporate job नहीं किया अभी? देखा नहीं है ना?
Never. I've never seen that.
And never attracted to it either?
No. So the first obvious move was to be in my dad's business. I think family business, that's how every generational businesses go. But I think that didn't work out for me. My first thing, I went to college for some time. I think, not to say anything about the college, but it didn't work out for me personally.
How much is some time? Months, years?
A couple of months maybe. Maybe 2 semesters as we call them. But it was a good realization because the amount of training we had on our family business side, because we used to be all in those family business environment throughout. Whatever we learned, the education system seemed little behind that because some things were very obvious. It was not I wanted to do a business straight up. The first thing I tried was why I wanted to get some extra pocket money. Let's say I wanted to, because at that point, at that age, your expenses are kind of higher than what you can actually tell your family about. So the idea was to get some side income or something like that. And the first thing I realized, how can you get that? Freelancing seemed an opportunity where if you understand tech, I had some affiliation and understanding about tech. 2010, something clicked. Someone told me a mobile app. And this is the time, just to clarify, this is the time when we were having Android and Nokia. Android isn't actually. There was Nokia and iPhones for the rich. Very rich.
So which year was this?
2010. 10 and 11.
Right.
Android wasn't there in India. So iPhones just came in, but only could had like maybe a couple of thousand people in over the country. And then there was Nokia, which was dominant. And Nokia did not have an app store. So you can't download an app on a Nokia phone. We were building apps back then. So the deal I cracked to the marketing agency, some friend got me connected. He said, if you can help me get an app done for me. I said, I'll try. I figured out some developer in Pune, freelancer again. This young guy, 22-year-old, who understood how to develop apps. Simple did not have a platform. So yeah, a lot to be figured out, but long story short, I got that project done. He charged me 50 grinds to get that app done. I'm good at sales. I sold that for 5 lakhs and suddenly realized there is enough margin.
Yeah.
That was the first realization that there is way too much margin in this business because people don't understand apps as a business. And jumped onto this, continued the same thing. Formed a company, it was called Movies. And we just started doing these apps for marketing as a niche. And very early on, it went viral. One guy connected with the other guy. Ended up developing apps for Ford, ITC, Lufthansa. Very interesting project. Did a game for Lufthansa's A380 launch when the aircraft was launching. So that was very early stint on mobile apps. Got my first offer. I was 20, maybe 21. Someone told me, we will buy your business. 2010, 11, and a 21-year-old, we did not. Today, our mentorship ecosystem is very well developed. You have talks, podcasts. There's a lot of content you can consume on how to do a startup. But in 11 in India, there wasn't any content or a mentor or someone to tell you what to do.
आपको उस टाइम ये पता था कि how do you exit a startup? M&A?
I actually did not even know कि company बिकती है. I told my dad about it. He said company कैसे बिकती है.
हाँ.
So the concept of selling a company was
services वाली, right?
any company है, मतलब business कैसे बिकता है. So the idea of people always assume कि business बिकने वाली story था वो in the alliances of the world वहीं पे है. We never understood that companies बिकती हैं, and I did not know that for sure. But someone explained me, this guy came up with an offer, we'll buy your company, you're doing well, and we'll give you 2x of your last month's revenue. No valuation concept. यार ये नहीं पता था तो ये कैसे पता होगा. Saw a check number की गाड़ी sorted, ले लो company. So that was the first exit, which was completely abrupt. Signed everything they gave me. I did not know what I was signing on. So one of those clauses were a no compete significantly, which was a 5-year no compete on mobile app as an industry generally. I didn't know. I didn't know any better. I signed it. And the next best thing, what's the next big opportunity? Ab kya karna hai? I understood there's the arbitrage in buying and selling tech. And that was the second thing was about e-commerce was blooming. Flipkart, Snapdeal, all of these things were just raising capital. Fashion and New, all of these companies were just happening at those time. And e-commerce seemed the next big opportunity. So I jumped in that side, again a freelancing opportunity. Started consulting a couple of export houses to start their e-commerce brand.
Right.
That led me to meet my current co-founders, Sahil and Gautam. They were they started a company into website development. So Shopify is kind of platform in India. And I wanted someone to do my websites for cheap so I can sell them. Right. So I met them like that. Couple of months in, we decided to chat and I disclosed the website you did for me at $3,000 a month. I probably end up selling them for a couple of lakhs.
Right.
And that's how we connected. That this seems like a good association. You understand India, we understand that side. Sahil just came from US. So that thing just developed into it and we started something called Shiprocket. And that's the story. I think that's where we ended up with this setup.
Right. And Shiprocket was the first version, right?
First product, yes.
First product. And actually what most people don't realize is that Shiprocket is actually an unbundled, unpacked version of Shiprocket. And multiple iterations and, learnings and feedback loops kind of got you guys to that point, right? Could you firstly explain in very simple words what Shiprocket is today and how it kind of evolved from the first iteration?
Sure. So Shiprocket today is more of an operating system. So what we like to call ourselves is a complete stack. If you want to start an online business, what all components you need? You'll start with sourcing, you need manufacturers, you need warehousing, you need shipping, you need return management, you need conversion stacks like marketing tools and stacks like that. You need communication stacks. So today we have evolved into a stack of almost 9-10 products which can do everything. So if you are someone who wants to start an online e-commerce business or a D2C business, you could probably do that sitting in your home with a laptop and no employees. Because I'll store your product. When the order comes in, I'll do the packing and shipping and everything else. If the return comes in, I'll do that refurbishment, put it back into the sales cycle. The communication, the WhatsApp CRM, the automation around messaging. So we do everything. All you need to do is probably the Facebook marketing bit. So rest everything is something we now take over. So that's where we have evolved into. How we got there was the thought of this has been around since day zero. So before Shiprocket, our brand name was Smart Store, which we changed for multiple reasons. It was called Smart Store. It was Shopify of India, but we Indianized it. What all is Indian ecosystem's requirement? So we built a stack around Smart Store called Smart Ship, Smart Call, Smart Pay. So these were 3 other stacks within Smart Store. So if you take Smart Store, you get these 3 products. Smart Pay was an aggregation of payment gateways. Payment gateways in 2012-13 charged 50,000 rupees one time, and you couldn't actually get one very easily. You had to get approved and stuff. So there wasn't an easy way to get even a payment gateway. So we got a partnership done like we do for shipping. We did a partnership with a payment gateway, gave them a bulk contract that we'll get you 100 accounts. You give us a bulk rate and waive off our one-time fee and kind of do things like that. So Smart Pay was that. Smart Call was we will run a call center for you. Running a call center is an expensive task. So we said, you can't afford one full guy because you are a small business owner. Like, how can you afford one full guy? So we'll hire one guy and you 5 of them can share that guy.
And distributed resource.
Undistributed resource. So that's how your cost will be like 2 grand a month versus a full salary of a guy. You can't afford that.
Yeah.
So that was Smart Call, and Smart Ship was what Shiprocket is today. Similar model, but aggregation of all shipping systems in one single play. So it has been existing since our inception. And Shiprocket was a part of a CartPocket stack. So if you have a website with me, the shipping comes default with it. That's how it had been for 4-5 years. Around that time, we had this next best opportunity, and marketplaces, niche marketplaces in India were blooming. Boonik, Woopler, couple of other brands, there were a lot of them. Niche marketplaces were a marketplace for shoes, a marketplace for very niche marketplaces.
You mean verticals?
Verticals.
Right.
We came up with a Etsy of India kind of model, and we went kind of pivoted towards a marketplace. Saw there's more value in a consumer.
Sorry, could you just explain what Etsy does?
Etsy is a marketplace for very unique handmade products in the US.
Right.
So it's very, very niche. So everything that's not handmade Etsy, you can't get on Etsy.
Correct.
So it's a marketplace for handmade products. We decided to kind of replicate. India is a very craft-driven in the ecosystem. You can get so much craft here. And crafts is a great version of India, and we saw value in that. Decided to build that piece. Craftly was again handmade, artistic products, very unique products which aren't available on Amazon. So idea was to get out of that race and have a small niche for ourselves. Consumer business try kiya, didn't work out for us. Definitely DNA, there is something called a DNA. We are a very SME B2B style people. We can't do consumer business, something we don't understand at all.
Right.
And didn't work out for us. Now what is our next best option? CartPocket wasn't anyways doing well by then. 2 reasons. One, we kind of digressed, shifted focus. The other was Shopify came to India. It's good to realize when your platform isn't that, you can keep burning on it or realize it. So you also realize the CartPocket as an opportunity isn't that big or long term. So that was also kind of gone. So we had to choose what's our next best move. And it was almost like a one night call. We all founders sat together, I think we spent the entire night debating what should we do. And then someone, Gautam, actually a third co-founder, he mentioned about Shiprocket. Do you know what Shiprocket been doing all this while? Shiprocket bhi bolte the, the shipping side we bolte the. This wasn't called. What is it doing all this while? And we saw the numbers. Suddenly realized there is a fundamental unit economics, sensible business, something is happening there. None of our businesses had done that. What Shiprocket was doing at that small stage with 4-5 people pod sitting somewhere, they were doing way more revenue than all of the other things.
And efficiently, right?
And efficiently and very fundamental business, unit economics positive. It seemed very obvious. And we just decided we'll just pull the plug on everything else. One night. We just said, sab kuch band karo. Let's just refocus on one single thing and try and scale this. It's going to be a last bet, but let's make it worth it. And we pulled the plug on all 3 businesses and kind of pivoted towards Shiprocket. In 2018, I think.
Oh, very cool, yeah. And the thing is that we'll take one step back, right? Isme ki this seems like jaise aapne kaha, right? There was a problem hiding in plain sight, right? To be and a diamond in the rough, so to say. But it took you guys a lot of experiments to kind of get there.
Yeah.
Right? Otherwise, ideas don't come out completely formed. You have to experiment, iterate, reiterate, and that's how you kind of get to it. How did among the founders, did you guys already have this thing that experiment karte rahenge, we'll keep doing this thing and then we'll double down on what works? Because now that's the playbook that is offered to founders.
We did not, actually. We did not. I know the question what you're asking. We never had the plan. We started it with the viewpoint of let's try this, chala to theek hai, because we all had our chale jayenge wapas family business mein, I can do back by freelancing. So it was almost like a standard, let's try it out fully.
But you guys were still data driven, right? कि यार ये चल रहा है, ये नहीं चल रहा है.
Data was good. So luckily, Sahil, he's today's CEO. Sahil had this nag of numbers. So this is a good composition of founders, right? I could do sales very well. I could build customer relationships very well. So I can bring a lot of insights from my customers. Gautam was excellent when it comes to operations. So once the customer is in, he was the guy running the show end to end, so everything works smoothly. And Sahil he's not a trained tech, but he has a knack for technology and numbers both together, which is a good mix. So he can run Excel, do this magic, and he was always data driven. So every decision we took was data driven in the company. Even for how many people to hire,
right?
It was driven by projections on a long Excel. So it was always the internal thing is every decision is driven by data, not by gut.
Right. And that is why this combination of different folks with complementary skill sets makes you guys so unique in the sense that you're not just a unicorn startup, you guys are also profitable, right? Whereas in logistics, I know you guys are logistics tech and D2C enablement, so you don't like to be bucketed as logistics. But logistics companies in general have not had a very, bright kind of a future in India. A lot of them have failed. The graveyard is full. On that note, can you just lay out the logistics landscape in India from last mile to up the value chain, so that we can lay out what the market looks like?
So I think there's different business models here at play. One is a very if you're a pure logistics business, let's compare any other logistics business, which is also supported by tech, but it involves physical movement of goods. Like if someone is touching the packet, if that's what you're referring to, let's compare that with the business we are in. That involves a high level of capex, of course, and capex is around a time-bound payback cycle. Then it also involves a high operational effort. So the margins are super thin because of the competition. So one, you can't really go ahead and say, I'm going to charge what's fair. You have to be at par with the market and everything else. The other is, it's also a business which is very complex, full of unknowns. So if something goes wrong, let's say one truck goes haywire or you lose something, you lose not just that goods value, you lose probably another 1,000 shipments worth of margin. It's very full of unknowns. It's a difficult business to operate and execute. It takes time to get into the positive side of the business. And that's true for global logistics players. Any global logistics player took decades to get there, because upfront investment is needed. As the moment you want to scale from one city to another, the whole capex cycle goes again. The management of the capex, if you own warehouses, if you own manpower, if you own vehicles, if you own all of those things, depreciation, maintenance, it's a hard business to trade up unless it reaches an inflection point where the volumes and it's all about filling your capacities, right? Every capacity that goes out empty is lost to the company.
Exactly. Capacity.
The stage for it's all about capacity utilization. We don't see a packet. So while we are in the warehousing business again, but that's also unitized. We did things a little bit differently. While we say we are going to make less margin, but just make enough above my cost. So that's the logistics side of business, which keeps us saying, okay, we are going to lose money even if I don't make a lot. But my cost below that is fairly low because a lot of it is companies driven by automation. Support takes a lot of cost. Servicing a customer takes a lot of your cost, right? What can you do? Very simply, just put automation. In logistics, 5 questions common. Where is my order? My order is lost. My order is broken. I wrong product received. Very simple 5 questions, right? I can automate. I have GenAI. I can automate so much of customer service part bit by using APIs and data. So reducing that cost.
Right.
Then we are a tech business. We don't really touch the packet. So my CapEx is as good as nothing. So this is a different model altogether compared to a logistics business. So stacks are different. The other thing is, how do you make enough margins to keep how does a business look good? Now, if you have SMEs, let's say today we work with 100,000 plus SMEs. What are SMEs paying for? What other things apart from just logistics? So if you break down the stack, there is 40% COGS, there is about 20%, or 30% in marketing, and rest everything is ops and supply chain. What if you break down the supply chain bucket, what else are they paying for? So you just kind of start getting into further products. So that's what we did, value-added services. We added the layer of 10 more products, selling it to the same base, so my CAC is 0. And eventually that helped us build out this revenue heavy business, which looks good so far.
Right. No, and that's the interesting part, right? Because like you said, logistics has so many different components, especially if you do, you guys are last mile, but if you guys do full 3PL and things like that, people have ended up losing money, which means that even if you raised a lot, you've not really taken it to the next level. I think Black Buck was one of the companies which raised a lot of money and that
Completely different business.
yeah, it's completely different, right? But that's a different part of the logistics business, which is much harder to crack.
At the B2B side.
And the B2B side, right? I'll take it to the next gear at this point, right? Because you guys have been instrumental in enabling this entire D2C wave which has come, right? Now, with ONDC, this is expected to go to the next level, right? Could you take one step back and explain to us ONDC and how ONDC is going to impact consumption through its network?
Sure. So ONDC, as we call it, Open Network for Digital Commerce. I think that's the full form. Yeah. So ONDC is probably a very, very good idea. I think if we were sitting in a place where this government had not done a UPI kind of or an Aadhaar kind of execution or a GST kind of execution, I would be skeptical if someone came to me that this is something we're going to do. But we sit in a very different time, and the whole ecosystem, the geopolitical ecosystem, the execution proofs are there. Great idea. What it means is anybody can sell online and anyone can buy from anyone online. Simple. Very, very simply put. And nobody can charge commissions for it. That's the plain Jane stack there. So how do you do that? How do you execute that? You get all of the digital businesses on a single layer. So if I am a platform like, let's say I'm a Kotak Bank and a lot of consumers come to my online property, I can generate orders because I have a lot of consumers coming onto my property for many other, they could be coming in for any other reasons. So I can now open up a catalog for other folks. So I can pick up from ONDC. I am a small seller. I can submit my catalog to ONDC. So if Shiprocket can be one aggregator, and there could be other, there is Seller App, there is many other aggregators. So a lot of people can now publish their catalog online into you can compare it with blockchain for many aspects, but a lot of people are publishing their catalogs. Anybody can pick that catalog and market that catalog. Once an order comes in, anybody can fulfill that order. It's a complex network, but how it will work is eventually everything will be in priority-driven system.
Right.
So priority, if I get an order from a seller sitting in pin code 110001 and the order is from pin code 11002, and if I'm a Page or a Dunzo or any other hyper-local provider and I'm on the network integrated, it probably eventually should show up on me. Today it's not that way. It's actually now preferred partnerships and preferred systems because it's not that intelligent. But the end goal, it should get there. What will happen eventually, and this is something it's not tested, and no one has ever done that. There's no global comparison to an open network for commerce.
Correct.
The easiest someone could compare it to would be a Facebook marketplace in US or something. Like Facebook had a lot of people coming in, they will tell. It's C2C, but not exactly.
Correct. But somebody like a massive company like Facebook, right? They're for profit. They have their own.
It's a different version of it. Why they want to do it is a very different reason. Because they can make ads out of it. I think ONDC is designed as not profit. So not everyone can charge for it. How will this work? How will customer service work? There's a lot of unknowns and questions yet to be answered.
Right.
Customer service is a big part of it. How do you solve that is a big question.
Yeah, I think customer service is absolutely it's a question that even I had about ONDC. Who do you reach out to? But what I thought of it when ONDC came out, my thoughts were, okay, you have to first ask the basic questions, right? Why will startups and companies support this, right? And if you take a step back and you understand the network for what it represents, what it's saying is that, look, right now your pie is this, right? You guys divide it among yourself. If we bring in this system successfully, what happens is that we increase the size of the pie because overall welfare increases, right? Efficiency gets induced into the system. How well has that message actually gone down with companies? Because a lot of people are saying good things, whereas you could think that some companies would be like, "Yeah, we are already dominating the market. Why should we comply?" Your thoughts?
See, only business that would not be happy or want to comply with this is maybe a marketplace. For them, that's exactly what they do.
Right.
Right, end of the day. ONDC is acting like a marketplace, but not exactly. Uh, that's the only business that can have a little bit of a worrisome response to this network. For every other business, a logistics business can get way more demand because, like you said, the size of the pie increases. Seller gets some orders, which is generated by someone. It's an affiliate network. End of the day, everyone's helping each other. For them, it shouldn't be a problem. That's why there will be much, and D2C wave has been much bigger in India. So adoption will be much higher. You can't skip this. You can't avoid this. You have to be part of this, because why would you fight it if it's everyone's favor, right? We were the first ones. Everyone asked me as Shiprocket was, if people have access to all these courier companies directly, why would they come to Shiprocket, right? There's a lot more on the play. So we are part of our ONDC network. We service a lot of orders today for ONDC. We are the first ones to get integrated on ONDC. In fact, day zero of their inception of the idea. We have been involved with ONDC building this entire stack on the council member side. And we built it, and we saw the team, exceptional team there. For only people, it's not. People who are a little bit scared is the marketplaces, and they have to eventually comply. I mean, may or may not like it, but that's how the world is changing.
True, and the thing is that they may not like it right now, right? But the thing is that if you take one step back and look at the entire stack, even they have gained from it, right? Because people diss demonetization a lot, right? I've been an economist previously, right? So I know that demonetization in and of itself was probably not a good decision. But the thing is that when you start looking at it in conjoint with some other things which got stacked on top, you're like, this made sense, right? Demonetization aaya. Uske baad, suddenly we started moving more on cashless transactions, right? UPI came into play. While you might say that all that cash came back and we started using cash again, but the thing was that it was such an important catalyst in actually making us more financialized, right? Next layer, things like ONDC is coming in, right? So because of this, there were always companies who tended to gain, right? Digital India, these guys tend to gain. Fintech companies seem to gain. Now the next step beyond ONDC, if you look at that stack, is also the National Logistics Policy. I want you to just very simply explain to us what the NLP is and why it's important for us.
See, NLP, it's a new standardization, right? At some point, everything has to be regulated. When fintech eventually started out, they weren't as regulated. A lot was happening, and then you had to regulate it, because end users are your consumers, right? So if something goes wrong, it's people who lose money in the whole process. If banks go bust, people lose money. So it's all about regulation. It's not fully clear exactly what. So there are no commercial impact right now. National Logistics Policy right now is very, very conscious driven, where just be fair, more moral driven, or however you call it. Commercially, there isn't like, this is how something should be done, this is how much you should be charging. There are no commercial enforcement, and there's no commercial implication. But what they want to put is, what is the responsibility of logistics in the whole play? You can't just drugs in some shipment. Whose responsibility is it eventually? So, right, how do you disclaim that? It's all about taking onus and responsibilities and fair practices and everything else. How do you execute that? We as logistics providers have to ensure whoever we are picking our shipment from, there is a KYC, there is some process to it, there is everything in place for us to say that this is an individual. I know it exists and everything else. It wasn't there. For the longest time, it wasn't as straightforward to get a full KYC. I could drop a packet wearing a monkey mask into a DTDC office and then just ship it.
Right.
So it's important for everyone in the process to take responsibility, because it's an instrument that can be misused as well.
Right. And the entire logistics policy itself is also kind of linked a lot to our logistics infrastructure development as well, right? Because I was reading somewhere that India's the average train speed or something is like 25 kilometers per hour, right? All of that, how successful your logistics policy is going to be, is also going to develop. It's also going to depend on how quickly that infrastructure develops, right? Do you think that a lot of the growth, especially from a consumption standpoint, is actually going to be not basically on these policies, but on that underlying infrastructure development?
It will be on it's kind of common sense. Like infrastructure, it plays a vital role in the whole system. Infrastructure will eventually act upon speed, cost, efficiency, capacity,
Hmm.
everything gets better if you have the right infrastructure at your place.
Right.
Right. Today, if I have a decent enough rail network to move goods around, it will be so much efficient and cost effective. No one can. It still exists, but it's not as effective that everyone can use it straight up. That's why we are on the road network predominantly. Road network has gotten so much better to counter that problem. But infrastructure plays a vital role. I think it's all underlying. Everything has to be driven by that, and it's actually happening. I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, you're right. Road network has got better, but the thing is that because rail has become so slow, roads have got congested. Right? There's always a balancing thing which happens. I'll move on from like our domestic with stuff that we've been doing to cross-border, because you guys are one of the few folks who actually through Shiprocket are looking at cross-border deliveries. Tell us about that. Where did that brainchild come from?
See, it's again very simply, like I mentioned earlier, right? Vast. So I already have my base of consumer. How can I make more revenue from them? What else do they need? One of the requirements came from our consumers only. That we are looking for an efficient cross-border logistics system, which is not there today. We just took that opportunity and said, let's just try and build it. And again, that was the evolution of the idea. We did not come up with it. Our consumers asked for it and we said, why not? We'll help you get it done.
How long have you guys been doing the cross-border?
It's very early. It's maybe 8-9 months in right now. So it's fairly early right now.
So is it early to say whether the economics will work on the cross-border
It's
side?
not early. I think we, as of last few months, we have seen the economics definitely work.
So at scale, that's something that that would definitely work for you guys as well.
Yeah. I think we are just replicating our own playbook. Everything, if you book on a cost level, everything unitized, you can sell everything unitized. And if you are buying it at 5 rupees and selling it at 6, you are never losing money.
Right.
So it's that simple playbook we have executed on all our business models.
You know, what's really, really admirable, Vishesh, is that एक side पे आप cross border कर रहे हो, which is another beast. On the other hand, you guys have even gone deeper into the hinterland, right? Into tier 2 as well. And the last I read, you guys have crossed 100 million users, right? Who had transacted.
More actually, yeah.
Oh wow! So how does that? Because these are different markets, different ways of operation, right? What were your observations from this tier 2, the real meat of the pyramid?
Because we were a long tail business always. So when you talk about 100,000 merchants, they are not predominantly sellers in Delhi, Bombay. So merchants from all over the country are buying, and there are buyers all over the country. But because I have this network of tier 2 sellers, for their buyers, it automatically becomes the buyers are from those same similar towns and cities.
Right.
That's why it's heavy consumption. But what we have seen there is the access to a lot of products for tier 2, tier 3 isn't there. Well, if you live in Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, you have access to malls, brands, everything else. Go further down a little bit, it starts shrinking, right? Your access to like products and your choice of SKUs starts drastically goes down and down. If they have access to this shopping, they definitely are spenders. It's not different anyway. It's not different in any way from a spender. If you say, if I'm in Delhi, I'm a high spender versus there. They do want to spend on these kind of commodities, and it's a high consumption economy for sure. They just wanted access.
Right. My final question, right, is that I'll just preface this by saying that you guys have had a huge impact on a lot of D2C players in the country, right? What are the opportunities for D2C enablers, right? Are they there, or is it something that you guys are gonna take care of all of it? Are there other segments where D2C guys can get enabled? So would love to hear your thoughts on that.
See, I think anywhere if there's the gold rush theory, right? In a gold,
What's the gold rush theory?
So when everyone wanted to find gold, there were like millions of people finding gold. The people who made most money of that excursion were the people renting out equipments, shovels and stuff, right?
Right.
It's the same stuff. There will be, with the whole D2C boom, there will be millions of folks trying to get their hands in, but eventually people, the enablers, the people who are helping them, will be the ones gaining the most out of it, because some might work, some might not. But everyone who's trying their journey out will pay back the enablers. So opportunity for enablers is definitely there. And the number 2 is we cannot own it. There is a lot, the stack has to be much bigger than what we can fathom to build. It's nowhere close. It's way more. The innovation alone is something we can't do alone.
Right.
It's thinking about the newer technologies and stuff that D2C can use, I can think of all of it. The enablers and one of our acquisition play was around that because we wanted to add our stack with more newer, fresh ideas and new technologies that we can't think or build. So the enablers, there's a definite big opportunity. It's growing way faster. COVID was one of the catalysts, unfortunately, but it actually fueled the entire, it took everything 5 years ahead. The buyers who would have never tried an online shopping experience had to try it. Now everyone's hooked. So you can see a drastic change in number of people, of online shoppers that has gone up significantly post-COVID. And it has stayed. It wasn't a spurt. It wasn't a short-term blip. It has stayed. So opportunity for D2C enablers is massive. It's all about how do you think about the newest technology or a new idea of helping them iterate. And a lot is happening. Gen AI will change everything on how everything is executed, I think.
You had mentioned Gen AI, right? How are you guys? Could you give us a few instances, few stories where you've been able to implement Gen AI into the business and it's completely transformed how you guys
A lot of areas, right? It's actually again good and a bad thing both, because a lot of people might look at it as something that will take away jobs, but that's how evolution is. There's nothing one can do about it. So, for example, a pre-sales bit, qualifying a lead. A lot of conversational AI can help you do those very straightforward conversations. So if someone's coming to our website and wants to chat with someone, has some questions, I can now just have a bot answer most of it with as efficiency as nobody can tell if I'm talking to a human or a bot. So that's one bit. The other is customer service. Because an API has all the answers, what happens with a human? If someone comes on my call center and asks, my shipment has not arrived, where is it? He will go into a system, hit an order number, a API will respond him back with a status. Here is your order. It will reach you maybe tomorrow or day after. That's the status. It's available. The answer is available, right? You probably don't need a human to do that mundane job. Someone can just answer it straight up. So a lot of those elements. The other is creating ads and the whole marketing bit. It's going to impact a lot, which we have already seen. So the marketing, the content pieces, creation of ads, automation of my CRM communications, what to say when. All of those areas, the whole AI bit will change a lot. More efficient, more faster. It's going to change a lot here.
So that's a very insightful answer, right, into the kind of changes and the shake-up of the status quo which is going to happen, right? My final question is, we've spoken about the shake-up of the status quo, right? Can you give us maybe your top 3 disruptions that you are expecting in the next decade for the startup ecosystem?
Top 3 disruptions is hard one. I can try. One, of course, the whole marketing tech space, marketing tech as we call it, will drastically go through a disruption. Something newer things have to come in.
Nothing has worked as such, right? In marketing tech, not much has worked.
Not much has worked. So, but the typical agency models and not very suddenly change, at least for the market tech space. Because idea generation and idea creation is fully automated. It's getting better the model is getting better and better and better. So that's one area someone will disrupt significantly. I think
there are companies like Jasper and all, right?
Yeah.
Who also come in, became a unicorn in like a very short duration.
I don't know about them.
So they basically, you give them a situation, they're going to create a post for you, which will look very natural.
And there are hundreds of tools like that. Hundreds of tools. I think creation of creative, even for idea for a creative, can now be done by an AI.
Right.
What creative to be done? So prompts. It started with give me a prompt, I'll build a creative. Now there are texts doing tell me what you want, I'll give you the prompt.
Right.
We are going way backward. So yes, one, market is a good disruption space. India, I think predominantly is a fintech heavy market. I still believe that. So next biggest industry that will go through disruption will be fintech. We are an economy which needs more and more credit. It should happen. It's getting regulated, but I think some large things are bound to happen in fintech as a space.
So in fintech, are we speaking payments, lending?
Lending, I think, primarily. I'm referring to lending. That's my personal experience.
Yeah, I think that's fair because we're fairly credit starved.
We are a very credit starved, and an economy that grows at the speed at which we are, credit takes a vital role in the play.
Correct.
So the more easier credit available and lot can happen.
Yeah, I think absolutely bang on. I think in fintech, it's not just going to be startups who gain, it's also going to be the larger players at this point, right?
It's more economy, right? So banks rely on credit as a system If banks do well, the entire the whole economy does well.
Right.
So everything is linked in that sense. And India is a large country. I think the income per capita is very increasing. Everything is going right for us.
Right.
And like you mentioned, those small trigger points like digital India happened, the Aadhaar, the UPI happened, then demonetization happened. All of this it actually short-circuited our growth by a couple of years. Demonetization suddenly made India cashless to a large extent. So cashless economy started propping up. COVID, which obviously wasn't a great thing to happen, but it did fuel the growth for next 5 years for at least all the digital businesses put together. As D2C grew, all the people supporting them grew. We grew because of it. So a lot of things that happened because of COVID. So some things, all things just short-circuited us by 10 years, I think.
Right. So first was the agency model will get disrupted. Marketing tech will get. Second was that fintech is also going to get disrupted to a certain extent, but it's also going to boom.
Someone has to innovate on that side.
Yeah.
I think you need to come out of the standardized old playbook of world lending. Someone has to innovate on that piece.
Correct. I think lending as well as in general banking infrastructure plays, right? I think there's a lot of scope there. That's also again B2B. They're enablers for more financialization, more fintech products coming into the fray. What's the third?
Third, I'm roughly thinking. Third one, I still can't think of the third one.
Let's say there's some disruption which is going to be on the logistics side of things.
On logistics, yes. I think the third one is the speed of logistics and the cost of logistics will drastically change. It might be far out, but I think the whole drone experimentation that we have also done and we have seen, it's evolving much faster than anyone would have expected it to evolve.
Can you tell us about that? I did read that there's a company, right, Sky or something like that you guys were using to make drone deliveries.
We were piloting, so it's an experiment, of course. We are also learning as we go along. So very small experiment. It's actually not an experiment anymore. It's actually happening on a daily basis. So from my warehouse in Pataudi to some very niche pin code in Gurgaon, or maybe it's in Nirvana, I don't know exactly where. So we are doing this deliveries via using drone.
Is it custom drones?
Custom drones. The company that we are partnered with, they have the standard drones for delivery.
Those DJI ones?
No, it's custom drones like built by them.
Okay.
So they are building these drones to do these e-commerce deliveries. And if we look at it, currently the only thing is the cost isn't solved. While it may look, it has to be cheaper. Why not? It's not.
What's the range and things? But this is very interesting. I would love to double click on this.
It's a custom drone, right? The range can be as much as you want eventually. It's a custom drone you can do all over the city at some point. So range is something. It's all about custom, but it's more
expensive. Is it?
It gets expensive because it gets heavier. So I think the company knows better but my cost today is just almost only 10% cheaper than my general road cost. It's not there yet. But range today, I think the max this drone can do is maybe 150 kilometers, if I'm not wrong, somewhere radius wise.
Right. Do you think this is drones and things are going to come to even things like, let's say, Zomato deliveries and...
I think so. I think it's evolving much faster. While it looked unimaginable at some point, if someone would have asked me a year ago, I would have said it's going to take a long time. It's 5 years out. I don't say the same thing today. All of that I've seen in 1 year and being witness to one of the live deliveries happening, I think it's evolving way faster.
More power to you guys, man. And when can we expect the IPO?
I don't know when, but it is the next big move for sure. When is something we have to keep on. When your business looks in the right shape, it's not something that we have to do an IPO.
Yeah.
It's not a success point. I don't know why people treat IPO as one of those things, right? IPO ho gaya, main successful ho gaya. Not that. It doesn't work like that. IPO changes your gears. So your real work starts after the IPO because now you have to build value for the real people, for retail investors.
You know how I look at IPOs? If you look at it, if you zoom out and look at them, it tells you that your ecosystem is maturing.
Definitely maturing, but problem with, I think what I see is people look at IPO as the end game.
Yeah.
It is not an end game. How does it, that's my end part of my company. It's not. That's why I'm a little irked by the whole thing of IPO matlab ho gayi company. It's not like that.
Do you think people don't realize that your work actually increases when you become a company? Because compliance zyada hai, sab kuch
zyada, and you are way more responsible. You are responsible to a lot more people now. Your responsibility is now 10-fold bigger than what it was with the 10-member board. Right? It's much bigger and harder to execute at that point. So it's something that you have to be very careful when you hit that point. The only thing about an IPO, and last thing if I want to mention here is, An IPO should be always done when you can, as founders, see there is value left on the table further on. Not that I've achieved my max potential. अब बाहर से पैसा नहीं मिल रहा, IPO कर लेते.
Right.
It's a completely poles opposite views again. But if you do an IPO thinking कि कहीं और से नहीं पैसा मिला तो IPO कर लेते, it's a very bad.
So basically, आप कह रहे हो कि for you guys, the idea is that, hey, when we know that we can generate value for the common public at large, and there is value in our stock, that's when we do it.
That's exactly when everyone should do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's nothing, it's common sense, right? If you think if I will take 200 million from my public and then I know exactly what I'm going to do with the money and I know exactly what's going to happen next, only then is the right time to hit the market.
Absolutely. More power to you guys, man. Thank you so much for spending time with us. Hopefully we do this again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.